Welcome back to Rides and Drives Team Radio. I'm Harvey and she is Kaz, and we are back. We took a week off. It wasn't intentional, but I was traveling cross country, rescuing, 16 beagles, or helping to rescue 16 beagles. We got them to Portland and Seattle, and Operation Frodo was a big success. So thank you for putting up with us for a week for not podcasting because of that.
Harvey, I just want to say I'm so glad you take the time to work with these dogs. I'm so grateful to Operation Frodo and everything that they do. I really, really love the mission. I think it's beautiful. And I think this is a very appropriate moment for us to welcome the newest member of the Rides and Drives Team Radio family. Hang on one second.
Uh-oh.
He's no Frodo Beagle, but this
No.
is Gizmo the Border Collie, and
Hi, Gizmo.
he's my new best friend, and he cannot wait to come to a track with us sometime. Unfortunately, it won't be this weekend, but
No, Road
pretty
America
soon you'll see
is,
Gizmo at a race.
yeah, Road America allows dogs, but I wouldn't quite go as far as saying it's a dog friendly track.
The website explicitly says under the pet policy, Road America discourages bringing pets. They do allow you to bring them, but if they decide your pet is not behaving the way they want them to, then you're gone. So is the pet. I respect that, but
Yeah.
Gizmo's not quite ready for that environment yet. He's still pretty puppy. He's a little unpredictable. So
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
Barber next year is the target for Giz's first IndyCar race. We'll see.
We'll
Either
see.
way, we have a fantastic race this weekend, and I'm not in my usual location because Road America is my home race. I'm back in Wisconsin this weekend, visiting family currently. Family Harvey. We just had dinner together. Wonderful.
Yes. And
And
yeah.
I'm really excited. There's no motorsport event that I look forward to more than IndyCar at Road America. It's
Yeah. And
it's perfect.
yeah, there's so much about it. First of all, it's a great racetrack,
Hmm.
iconic, historic. Um, if you know anything about racing in North America, you know about Road America. And it's so well known that, when they ask F1 drivers what track they'd like to drive, almost to a man, they say Road America.
Yeah, guys,
It,
Max Verstappen wants to drive Road America. He's on record.
well, they do race
It's
sports
the
cars here. He
track.
could he could bring
Oh my
that Ford.
God.
He could race for Ford in an IMSA race. I'm sure they'd
That would
love to
be
have him.
that would be incredible.
So
At
yeah,
least Franz Hermans could do it,
yes. So
if not
it's
Max.
it's a great racetrack. The venue, we talk about Barber being an art installation with a racetrack around it. Well,
Hmm.
Road America is it's a national park with a racetrack in it. And
Yeah.
it was actually my friend Peter DiLorenzo who coined the phrase America's National Park of Speed, which Road America now uses as their theme line. Peter and I worked together in Detroit advertising back in the 80s. And before that, his brother drove this Trans Am car right here
Oh my gosh.
with
All the
on a
visual aids
team
today.
that was co-owned by my father. So I met Peter back in 1971 when I was 11 and he was 16, I think, or 18, I forget. But we go way back, and he came up with that great expression. His website, autoextremist.com, bought a billboard in Road America and put that up there. And everyone went, oh my God, this is fantastic. And it describes the place perfectly
It does.
because it really is. You get there and there's great camping. The area around the track in Elkhart Lake is fantastic. I know, Kaz, you have a lot to say about that.
Hmm.
Um, it's just a beautiful place to watch a race. And what I like about the venue is there's no assigned seating. There's not,
Yeah.
you don't buy seat in a certain grandstand. You buy a GA ticket and you find the place where you want to watch from. Talk about this a little bit. We were there last year and it was really one of your first times really getting immersed in an IndyCar race there.
Yeah, it was my second time at Road America last year, but it was the first time that I really I don't know, I felt really dialed in last year. I was ready to explore. Um, you're exactly right. I have moved to Indiana recently, so I'm meeting a lot of IndyCar fans who are 500 fans. Great, by the way. Absolutely love that. And I tell them all, you need to go to a race at Road America because there is no level of fan access like that. You can't get closer to pit lane as a fan with a GA ticket than you can at Road America. You can't get closer to the garages, to the team trucks, to the drivers themselves. It's really open and incredible how much access you have. So that's reason one why you should go to Road America because you can walk around like all of those all of those fenced off areas at IMS where you see people with their silver badges walking around. That's just GA at Road America. Really the only place you can't go as a fan is the track. You can't
Well, the pits, yeah.
you can't do a grid walk and you can't walk into the pit boxes. That's pretty much it. Otherwise, you are right up there. And then once the race starts, you're exactly right. You have the option of walking around to a bunch of different spots to watch the race, getting a bunch of different vantage points. And um, an IndyCar race is long enough that for me, my favorite thing to do there is to wander from spot to spot
Right.
and catch different action in different places and times. And there's never it's a large enough area that there
Yeah.
is never an issue of finding somewhere to stand or sit. Once you get to the corner where you want to watch this next 20 minutes from, you'll be able to find a spot.
Right. Yeah, we,
It's wonderful.
watch the start from outside turn one, right?
Yep.
Watch those cars come into turn one all together. That's a great place. Then
Hmm.
watch a few laps there. Then wander down, go under the tunnel, down to turn five, where they come
Oh,
down the hill into that hard left-hander. It's such an exciting place to watch passing, right?
I can see it in my mind right now. I'll be there tomorrow. I'm so excited.
Yep. And then you can go up on Fireman's Hill and watch
Hmm.
them come through six, seven, and down into eight. Really nice place to watch, the drivers and how differently they handle a car through that section.
Pro tip, that's my favorite spot to watch the end of the race. I really recommend if anybody's heading to Road America this weekend, park your butt down there at the end of the race. That is such an excellent vantage point, and it realistically is where the last pass is going to happen. So
Yeah, it's either
sit
there
there.
or it's going to be into Canada Corner,
Hmm.
which you can obviously get up and walk there. And there are two places you can watch Canada Corner from the inside. You can watch it from the outside. There are easy access bridges to take you over. They do have shuttles because this is a long walk. The shuttle you might wait a bit for. One of the things I like to do when I spectate a race there is bring a bicycle.
Yeah.
You can ride a bike from area to area and be where you want to be in just a couple of minutes. Super easy to do. There is the beach that
The
they built
beach.
outside of the carousel before the kink. It's an interesting place to watch some action. It's not a incredibly well executed feature yet,
Yeah,
though.
the beach is a great concept that is not currently well executed. I haven't seen it in a year. Maybe
Yep.
they've made some changes, but you need a full-on tiki bar there.
Yeah, they have
And
a
you
bar,
and you
but
need
it's yeah.
but it needs to be themed. And then you need big screens so that you can
Y-
see what's going
Yeah,
on with the
big
race.
screens, it would be nice. But if you're gonna sit there, you got to bring your own chair.
Mm. Yeah,
It
beach chairs, some towels, a
right.
towel rental.
It would be fun to have more of to take it to that next level,
If
really,
you're
if they
gonna
would do that.
play in the kitsch realm, you need to play in the kitsch
Right.
realm. Don't
So
don't like dip your toe,
could
dive
be a
in.
super fun place, have a band play before and after the race there, do
Hmm.
do all that kind of stuff. Because honestly, if you want to go to a tiki bar, there's a really good one in Elkhart Lake.
And we'll get there.
Yeah, we
And we'll
will.
get there.
But to talk about the track a little more, one of the reasons drivers love this
Mhm.
track is because it is fast, it is flowing, and it rewards somebody who can really drive a car right to the edge. You're coming down that front straight. These guys will be going 185 miles an hour probably by the end of that. You're really hauling the car down going into turn one. There's a lot of runoff area there, but if you get into the runoff area, it's going to ruin your race. But you go through that down into turn two. Turn two is actually just a little kink between one and three. But you go down into turn three, you make that hard turn, go down that second long straight into turn five. Again, in the middle of that long straight, there's just a little bend they call turn four. It doesn't really exist. So, and then turn five is one of the places you'll see the most action on the course because a car like an IndyCar is going to slow down from about maybe 165, 175 miles an hour down to about 80 to make
Yeah.
that turn, maybe less. I know when I drive that in sports cars, I'm going, 135 and slowing down to, 50 miles an hour to make that corner. So it's pretty crazy how much of a speed differential is there and where people position themselves to make the pass. Again, there's runoff on the outside of that area, but the curbing at Road America is brutal, and
Hmm.
you will pay a penalty if you spend too much time on the curbing. It will break suspensions. It'll damage, the floor pans on cars and really ruin your aero. So you got to stay off that curbing as much as possible. Then you go
Road
under the Corvette
America
bridge.
provides really natural track limits. I
Yeah,
love that's one thing that I love about it.
yeah, you cannot
There are no
exceed.
track limits penalties in IndyCar, right? But Road
Yeah,
America gives you penalties.
you will be penalized if you exceed track limits at Indy. Yeah, so there's that. Then obviously under the Corvette Bridge into 6-7, which is a really nice complex. It's one of those places where turn six, you come up a hill and it's completely blind. So
Hmm.
you've got to know that and where your speed is and what you're going to do. You make that go into seven, which is one of those corners. Every time I take it, I feel like I can't I shouldn't be going this fast, but you always go faster than you think you can through that part of the track, which is and the drivers talk about it. They say it's almost flat out on that corner, which is pretty cool. Then you come down to eight, which is a downhill again and a hard left-hand turn, and you get that right, and it sets you up for the carousel, which is just this super long 180-degree turn that you come out of, at incredible speeds and go right into the kink, which is one of those things. Again, it looks super benign, but if you lift or you get there wrong,
Hmm.
you'll be flopping, head to tail and looking into the wall in no time there. Almost always see some incidents there. It's super fun to drive, but also very scary. And then there's that Thunder Alley where you come down into Canada Corner, and I love driving cars in there because you have trees up on both sides, and it almost echoes in your ear when you come down through that part. Then you go around Canada Corner up through this really nice flowing section that takes you back to the turn 14, which is the last turn. And that flowing section that goes up the hill is just it's
Mm.
brilliant. It's one of those things that's underrated on that track. The way you can drive it, and then you get into turn 14, and you have to get that right because you have that long uphill straightaway on the front straight. And if you're not maximized coming out of that corner, you're losing time all the way down the front straight. So there's always something to see everywhere on that track. Drivers love it because you have three high speed sections, high speed corners, no incredibly low speed corners, right? It's
Yeah.
medium to high speed, puts a lot of pressure on you, a lot of pressure on the tires. Really fun track.
Yeah. Road America is exceptional. And I do want to when you mentioned if you lose speed on the front straight. This is more important than it is in any other road course on the calendar because this is outside of Arlington, which is new this year. This is the longest straight on the calendar.
Right.
This is a nearly 1 mile straight for the front straight. You have all the opportunity in the world to pick up speed and to lose speed there. And man, I've never heard anything in my life like the cars coming across the start finish line at the start of the race. Woo!
Well, those cars that you hear at the beginning of the podcast were recorded crossing the start finish line at Road America on my iPhone. So,
Was that from
yeah,
last year? Oh,
yeah.
I love that. I remember making that recording. We were sitting on the hill at qualifying. I think that was Scott McLaughlin.
Every driver, we talked about people who haven't driven this track, but you talk to the drivers on the series and they love this track.
Hmm.
Everybody comes here feeling great. It's wide open, it's a track that it's really interesting to see who does well here, right? Because sometimes it's not expected from a road course standpoint.
Yeah, Road America does tend to, last season was a bit of an exception, but Road America does tend to reward Chevrolet drivers, which is not typically what I expect out of a road course.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think part of that is the three long straights that you
mhm.
have on this track and the higher speed corners. So, that maybe tends to keep, the car's revs up more. You're not relying on low end torque. That's where the Hondas play better. Who knows? Because that's why, they tend to do better on street and road courses. But traditionally, Penske's done very well here. Um, it's one of the surprising facts of the week, right?
Yeah,
Which
this one,
driver has led the most? If you had to guess, which driver had led the most laps?
if you had asked me before I read the fastbacks, I would have said Scott Dixon hands down. He's raced here more than anybody else, and he's a like he is the class at tracks like this, right? It's got to
Yeah,
be Scott Dixon, I thought.
I would say
Absolutely
Dixon,
not.
Power, one or two,
Sure.
right?
Absolutely not. It's Joseph Newgarden, and guess what? He's led more laps here than the next highest current running lap leader by more than double.
Right.
Will Power has led the second most amount of laps here at what is 72, 76, somewhere in
Some,
there.
yeah.
Guess what? Joseph's led more than 150 laps at this track. That's unusual from a
Well,
road course.
yeah, but he's won here too. So,
He's won here
and
twice.
on the other side of things, that's really funny is Alex Palou has won here three times in the last 5 years, right? He's led 24 laps total in all the time he's raced at Road America. So, it's one of those things where people look at Alex and say, oh, he just dominates. Well, he just happens to lead when it really matters, apparently, in this
Yeah,
race.
there are two things about that fact for me. The first one is that Alex knows when it's important to lead, when it's important to take the lead, and how to do that. But also, Road America is a track that rewards strategy.
Yeah,
It is complicated and challenging. Yellow flags will come into play to be sure. There are always incidents. It's it's an interesting track that rewards a smart strategy, and who's always got the beat on the strategy. It's the 10 car, and they beefed it two
yeah.
weeks ago, so they're not doing that again.
Well,
They're coming back strong and ready to go. I
yeah.
always look out for Alex on a place like this where the decisions you make come into play so heavily.
And with a 4 mile lap, yeah, those
Mm,
yellows can wreak havoc. If you have a problem and you need to get back to the pits, it's really
yeah.
penalizing. Things like that can be very challenging in a race like this. I think there are a lot of drivers that stand to do well here and really need to do well. Again, I think what happened at St. Louis allowed us to still have a championship fight on our hands here, right? We've got a few drivers that are still in play, and Alex has a lead, but he is he's catchable by several people. And if we look at Kyle Kirkwood, if he has a great race here, this could really catapult him. Same thing for Malukas, who unfortunately had a bad week, but still sits third in the championship. And then you've got Christian Lundgaard right there in fourth. Um,
And
and
and this feels like a track where Lundgaard could really perform quite well. This
right.
this feels like a place that's kind of made for Christian Lundgaard. This is a situation where I really do expect him to, when we talk about the championship, there's Alex. There's always Alex.
Yep.
And right now, Kyle and David look like the two real competitors. If Christian has a big week here, I could see him putting himself in that category
Yeah,
with
I mean
Kyle
he's
Kirkwood and
on,
David Malukas.
he's only 8 points behind Malukas.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's out of it. There's a little bit of a gap between Alex and Kyle. There's a
Mhm.
little bit of a gap, 20 points, 19 points between Kirkwood and Malukas. So it's but then it's a bunch of cars all right together down
Mhm.
into sixth place. Newgard,
Yeah.
at 238 points. So, give him another good run here, and we might be throwing his name into the championship again. So
It's a pretty exciting point where we're at right now.
yeah, and a track that is open enough to allow a number of different scenario. Yeah, Alex is the favorite. He's going to be the favorite almost any track we go to. But let's
Mhm.
see what happens in practice tomorrow. Let's see what happens in qualifying. Let's see what happens if it rains on Sunday like it's predicted to.
Oh,
That
the
could really
forecast
be fun.
is so good. I'm normally on IndyCar weekends. We've had, a lot of ovals to open the season, and I love that. And I've been just trying to put whatever energy in the world to keep the rain away. But on a weekend like this at Road America, a little bit of drizzle.
Yeah.
Ooh, just a little bit of drizzle. That's perfect. That
a
makes
10
such
lap
an
a 10
exciting
lap
race here.
shower,
Yeah.
something where they have to go to wets and run
Hmm.
that for a while, wait to see who makes the call at the right time to go to the wets, and then makes the right call at the right time to go back to dry tire. That could be really interesting.
Absolutely.
And
And
one
I
of the
and I
things,
do, I do want F1 fans to see that we race in the wet.
yeah, exactly, I'm tired of that thing
I'm
too.
tired of that narrative. Let's give
The
us a wet race at Road America and see us go. This has
Yeah.
the potential to be a real cracker.
The
Um,
one thing I do want to talk about, Firestone sent out a press release today that I was reading through, and we always talk about strategy and tire strategy and how hard it is to follow. Well,
mhm.
Firestone has a live timing website where they have a lot real time put the tire that everyone's on when they pitted, all this stuff in a chart so you can see and where someone had their fastest lap and all this other stuff. I'll put a link to that in the comments so fans can go look at that, because that's an important thing, especially for a race like this where tire strategy is really going to make a big difference. Because again, they're going to have to run two sets of the alternates and at least one set of the primes for this race.
This is an awesome weekend for them to be really pushing that tool. This is a race where I expect tire strategy to come into play.
Yeah, and I think tire strategy is it, and then how it falls with the yellows. That's really going to be everything. I'm wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of incidents. Last year we had, I think, Stingray Rob in turn five had an
Hmm.
issue. And who was it who dragged a banner around the course for a couple
Oh
of
gosh,
laps?
it was someone had their toe lead attached.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's always some funny
Was
stuff
it
that
Marcus
happens at Red
Armstrong?
America. It might have been.
I,
It might have
I
been. I
can't
don't
remember. It
remember.
was very silly. We saw it from the beach and we were like, hold on,
What's
someone's
going
got a
on there?
banner attached. And as
That's
we
right.
said
It was a
earlier, the
toe
beach
lead that they
doesn't have a
forgot to
big video
take
screen.
off.
So all we had was 3 seconds of a car driving by. And then we were trying to figure out what was going on for a while.
That's right. That was good. So, great track. A lot of opportunities for a lot of drivers this weekend. Feels wide
Mhm.
open. And then there's Elkhart Lake, and that's another reason to come see a race at Road America. Kaz, talk about the town of Elkhart Lake.
Elkhart is, man, when you think about small town Americana, Elkhart is like the nostalgic picture that doesn't actually exist anymore. It's there. It's there in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Th This is a city that is the love of racing is born into it. It's built into it. They raced cars on the streets of Elkhart Lake until there was a federal government ban on street racing. Um, and they responded to that by building this beautiful racetrack. So everybody who is there who exists in Elkhart on IndyCar weekend, on other big racing event weekends, because it's not just IndyCar that races there. There are a lot of great things to see at Road America. Everybody who is in town that weekend is excited about the race. It's not like when you go to, frankly, even when you go to Detroit the weekend
Right.
before the Detroit Grand Prix. It's a great time, but not everybody at the bar next to you is there for the race. Not everybody at the next table at your restaurant at dinner is interested in what's happening in IndyCar. You're just in Detroit that same weekend, so are they. Cool, you're going to the race, they're not. In Elkhart Lake that weekend, everybody is there for that. And
Yeah.
and that community is really palpable in the air. Um, it's a nice little resort town. So you're going to have a lot of different great bars and restaurants. I've got my personal recommendations that I will make to you. It is far too late to get a reservation at the Paddock Club this year, but try and walk in, see what happens. And if you can't do it, get one next year because the Paddock Club is a really wonderful dinner. It is what I love to do this weekend. There
Yeah,
are a couple of
and if you
bars.
eat there, you'll probably see some race teams there.
Almost certainly. Yeah, you'll see team personnel. You might see a driver. They largely keep to themselves, but you'll definitely see
Except when they
engineers,
want
pit
ice cream.
crews. Yeah, that's a Paddock Club happens to be right next door to Gessert's, which is an incredible, delicious local ice cream shop, worth the stop just for the ice cream. But hey, last year I ran into Alex Palou there the night before the race, so you might get a chance to get a photo with one of your favorite drivers. Elkhart has a couple of incredible resorts. If you are staying in Elkhart Lake, Osthoff is just beautiful, but also you could stay at Seekins, and Seekins is also, in addition to being a lovely resort and place to stay in Elkhart Lake, you can go to the bar,
Yeah,
which
and Siebken's Bar is a classic racing bar. You walk in there, everyone who's ever raced at Road America has been to that bar. So,
Mhm.
AJ Foyt's had drinks in that bar. Mario Andretti's had drinks in that bar. And you can feel the ghost of all those people. Plus, every race team that comes through puts their sticker on the wall so you can look
Mhm.
around and see all these really cool stickers. It's a super place to go have a drink. I rarely miss it when I'm there. Even if you just want to have a club soda, it's
Yeah.
worth stopping into Siebken's just to soak in the atmosphere. It is one of America's great racing bars.
The energy is incredible there, and race weekend they always have a band. So
Yep.
grab
They have a nice
whatever you like
patio
to
there.
drink, whether it's a whiskey or a club soda, and just hang out and feel that great energy. Weather's supposed to be beautiful this weekend, so sit
Other
outside and
than,
enjoy
yeah,
it.
maybe a little rain here or there, but it
Other than
should be
maybe a little
fine.
rain here and there that should affect the race.
But
And then finally, if you're feeling quite saucy in Elkhart Lake, God, you can't miss the Tiki Bar, man. Right
right,
on the lake.
what's not to
It's
like?
it's it's
Live
mid
music.
Wisconsin. You're right in the middle of the flyover states, and you think, how can there be a good tiki bar? It's a phenomenal place to have a drink, to listen to some live music. My in-laws who live nearby were at the tiki bar. This is not a Road America like a race weekend, but they were there randomly and just hanging out, having a good time, listening to they texted us. They said, "Oh, we're listening to this really great Violent Femmes cover band." They sent us a picture. It was just the Violent Femmes.
You never know
You
who's going to
never
show
know
up
what
at
you're
the
gonna see at the tiki
bar.
bar.
Right.
It's just a really special place
I have
to
a couple of
be.
honorable mentions too that people, if you want a good
Hmm.
fish fry and, good cold beer and classic Wisconsin meal, go to the Lake Street Cafe. And then
Yes.
also a fun late night spot is the Brown Bear.
Went to the
So,
Brown Bear after a friend's wedding.
yeah. So,
It's
Brown
that kind
Bear
of spot.
is, yeah, it's your after bar, right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but it's a great little town. In addition to the hotels that you can stay there, there are also, it's not too far from Kohler and Sheboygan, so there are
Yeah.
nice places to stay in both of those. And actually, I would make a pitch for people to spend a week up there.
Yeah.
Make a week long vacation. Put IndyCar at the beginning or the end of that, whatever you want to do. But it's a great place to go for take your family. Right near Lake Michigan, and just a beautiful part of the country. And I think underrated from
Yep.
that type of spot.
Go to, I completely agree. IndyCar weekend is a part of your trip, and that's 3 days. But then go to Kohler Andre State Park.
Yep.
Um, Go grab some really incredible Italian food at either Il Ritrovo or
Or stuff.
Stefano's
Right.
in
Play golf at Black
Sheboygan.
Wolf Run.
Ah,
You know, great
absolutely.
golf. It's a yeah, it's a phenomenal area. And if you've never considered traveling to a place like Wisconsin for vacation, this area should be on your radar screen. Put IndyCar at the end of it. It'll be a great week, I promise you. And no, we're not being paid by the Chamber of
No.
Commerce or the
Yeah,
Tourism
I'm
Board.
just truly in love with this race, with this area, with everything about what's coming this weekend. And I want everybody else to feel that way because I just think it's so very, very special.
Yep. So we'll be at the track tomorrow for practice. Any press conferences, we'll be talking to drivers, get all that. So follow our socials. She is at Fast Car Kaz. I am Harvey underscore drives. So make sure you follow those. We'll also be there for qualifying and the race.
Yeah, super excited. Would never miss. I will never miss IndyCar at Road America, and I don't think anybody else should either. It's the thing I look forward to the most all season. So can't wait to be there. Um, but for now, we've got a night of sleep in between us and the track. So
So,
Harvey, you have a good night. So will I. Let's hope we sleep well and aren't like kids on Christmas Eve, not able to
well,
get to bed.
I'm excited because I get to ride my motorcycle to the track, which is something I can't do all the time. So I'm looking forward to getting on that Ducati and riding 90 minutes to Road America.
Pretty
So I'm going
good.
to call it right now. And we're going to say for Rides and Drives Team Radio, I'm Harvey. She's Kaz. And we will see you tomorrow at Road America.
Gizmo says drive safe.
Woof.